My name is Tigga. I'm not a developer of the game. However, the developers of the game are in chat. So, who am I? I am a player. I've been playing the Screeps world game for a few years now, 3 or 4 years. I tend to be fairly near the top of the attack rank on that game, so I do like a good fight, and I also play in the autonomous bot arenas and Screeps Warfare Championships quite often. I won both of the official seasons so far. I came #1 spot, and they're often focused on fighting and autonomy as well. So I guess I should say, step back a bit, say what is Screeps? Screeps is a game where you program units or creeps to move around a game world, collecting resources and building more creeps, and ultimately competing against other people with the same objectives. So that objective might be to maximize a certain score. It might be to kill the other guy. It might be to do anything you like. So the open world game, Screeps World, it's quite open world, sandbox. You can do what you like. Arena has specific objectives. So the aim in Arena is to do what the Arena objective is. So I'm sitting here on the main screen now, and each of these squares here or rectangles is a different arena. So we have the capture the flag arena, where we have to use our creeps to capture our opponent's flag faster than they capture yours. So it's a race between our creeps capturing their flag and their creeps capturing ours. We've got spawn and swamp, where we collect energy, as I was sort of talked about before. Spawn creeps, build a base, and defeat our opponents. Now this is a room covered in swamp, and swamp is something that makes your creeps move slow. So a lot of this arena is about dealing with the fact that your creeps move slow through certain terrain. And finally, we have collect and control, where your job is to collect different resources and bring them to the collector, which is an object in the room, faster than your opponents. So those are the three arenas in the first season of Screeps Arena. Now the plan, we've been told by the devs, is for the arenas to rotate. So when we get to season 2, well, technically I suppose this is the alpha season. When we get to season 2, there'll be different arenas to try our skills on. So I've had access to this game since the start of the closed alpha a few weeks ago. Now that's an alpha available for someone who pre-orders with the requisite number of access tokens. And then obviously the demo has been available for the last few days under the Steam Next Fest. So what I'm going to do in this stream is I'm going to quickly sort of go through the tutorial. I won't linger on it, won't spend a lot of time on it, but just to sort of show you the game concepts via this tutorial. Then I will probably spend some time writing a bot. So currently my scores have all been reset back to 0. On the leaderboard, I think I'm #1 in all the arenas at the moment. I've played it a bit too much, I think. But currently my scores are all reset to 0. So I'll be developing a bot from scratch to try and take on some of these arenas, and then finally I'll pop back and see if I can get some replays. I don't know if that will be available to me. We'll see if we can get some replays of some high level play. So yeah, as you can see, each arena has its description. This is the more sort of longer form description of capture the flag, and it doesn't look like I do have my replays. Similarly, spawn and swamp. I should also say that each arena also has an advanced mode. And the advanced mode tends to be the same, but something else. So in capture the flag, for example, basic mode has 2 flags. The objective is to capture your opponent's flag, whereas in advanced mode there are 4 flags. So your objective is to capture all 4 flags. So the advanced mode takes the basic mode and then puts some extra complications in, makes it more challenging. So as I said, we're going to start with the tutorial. So Let's fire that up. So a lot of the tutorial here says essentially what I have just said. You write code to control your units, creeps called. Now, the way that Arena works is that when you hit the play button, all your code is uploaded to the server. The code is then run against your opponent, and then you get a result. So there's no interaction while it's going. It sort of loads into the server, runs, and then you get your result. And the way that it functions sort of programmatically is that it runs my code and it runs my opponent's code. It runs them at the same time. I issue all my instructions for mine. My opponent issues their instructions for all theirs, and then all those instructions get executed in the back end. So it doesn't happen that I issue my instruction and immediately that gets done. Everything's bolted together and then executed simultaneously. And this is done with a the way this is exported to the game is through this function loop where our code goes. So this is a very simple loop. What we're doing is we're importing something that tells us what tick we're on. So the game progresses in ticks: tick 1, tick 2, tick 3, tick 4. Each of these is an individual collection of actions that gets run, and this sort of very simple sample code basically takes that and outputs this. I'm not actually going to enter this sample code because there's not much to it. We import the thing which tells us what tick we're on, and then we console log the current tick. So let's move straight on to the second step. So here we have a little graphic, and this is actually what our guys look like in the field, and this is a guy going to the flag. So to move a guy from a creep from A to B, we can do creep, move to target. So A, move to B. And then if we call that every single tick, the creep will move towards target. You have to call it every tick. It doesn't remember. You can't say creep move to a position and then next tick it knows it's moving to it. That doesn't work like that. You've got to tell it every tick what it should be doing that tick. So just making the code we were using before a little more advanced, we've got something that does get object by prototype. So the prototype being sort of the type of object it is. So we can import get object by prototype, and using that get all the creeps on the map. So we're gonna do this one. I'm not gonna write the code myself. I'm just gonna copy paste this. So what it does is it loads the two prototypes. It goes, where are all my creeps? Where are all my flags? The first creep moves to the first flag. So we're gonna open up our local copy of the code. Yeah, and I have a code window here. I'm going to copy that in, and then we can run it like so. And it says we passed, but it doesn't actually. When you press play, it doesn't take you to the game world. It runs it in the background and says you passed. So if you want to actually find out what happened, you hit the watch replay button. Now this replay sort of zipped by because I got it on 20 ticks a second. This is basically what we saw. It's got my little guy, and as per the little diagram, he moves to the flag. So that's what this code is doing. This is what it looks like on my computer. I point this to where that is on my computer, and it just moves there. Simple. So first attack. Now we're having to deal with other people's creeps. We're red, they're blue. Right now, I think that's kind of universal in Screeps Arena, though I understand we're going to have badges like Screeps World, but right now there's just red and blue. So in this case, we've done our get objects by prototype to find our creep. So here's our code again. But now we have to find which one's mine and which one's theirs. So that finds all of them. One of them's mine, one of them's theirs, and this will tell us which one's which. We also have to do a second thing. We don't just move, we attack here. So we have to say my creep, attack, enemy creep. So that's a function which tells it to attack. Now, the way that most functions that interact with the API work in Screeps is they return a code. So in this case, attack can return a code, which is error not in range. And so if we're not in range, we can move to the enemy creep. So let's once again, I'll open up the sample code here and set that up. Give me a second. There we go. So this is that copy pasted, but we can do it a little bit differently if we want. So this is the sample code. We've loaded everything in. And instead of doing this, we can go. I might have to open up the documents on my other machine. So often what happens is documentation on my machine. Often what happens when you're writing Screeps code is at first just use the code as provided. So you've got the base level functions and use them as provided. As time goes by, you realize that actually you'd rather build something on top of that. What the developers provide isn't necessarily exactly what you want. You want something else, and because of that, I'm just going to pop up the font size a bit. Because of that, I'm not necessarily always familiar with exactly what the default things that they provide are. So I've just fired up the documentation, which is available in form of a Steam guide, but I'm not going to show on the stream, and just going to grab what I want to find from that. So there we go. So what I can do is I can do instead get range, which I need to import. So I'll do that in a second. In fact, I think just import it from there. Get range, my creep, enemy creep is greater than 1. So that's another way of putting the same thing. Let me just, oh dear. Let's get them both on the screen at the same time. So this, hopefully, unless I've messed it up. So if the range is greater than 1, we move to it. Otherwise, we attack it. Is essentially doing the same thing. We attack it if we're not in. If we attack, and if we're not in range, we move to. This is saying, are we in range? If so, move to. Otherwise, attack. So I'm just gonna hopefully I will run that, and hopefully that will work. Otherwise, it would be embarrassing. Here we go. Passed. Yeah. So here's my guy. He goes to the other guy, and I can click on these guys and get a bit of info about them. So these red things are attack parts, these white things are move parts, and as you can see, as I whack him, his hits go down, his health goes down, and there he's gone. Great. So that's our first attack done. Creep bodies. So we've just seen move and attack parts. There are actually 7 types of parts you can have and build your creep out of. There's move, moves you, attack things at point blank range, ranged, which does a ranged attack, so you can see it here. This guy's zapping from 3 tiles away. Heal, which allows you to heal yourself or someone else, which is obviously quite useful. After you've got damaged, after you won your fight, you'll often be a bit damaged, so you need to heal. Work is for building, it's for construction. It's usually it's not just for construction, it's also for harvesting. So anything that's sort of involving use of energy tends to be work. Carry stuff around. And finally, tough. And tough, it says it doesn't have any effect, but each body part is 100 hit points. So if you have a tough body part, you get 100 hit points. But it doesn't actually do anything on its own. So tough parts are actually very cheap. They are the cheapest part. So in cases where you can spawn your own creeps, one of your jobs as a programmer is to decide what combination of parts you put in your creep. You might want, for example, to move at one tile a tick over a swamp, you need 5 times as many move parts as other parts. But to move at 1 tick a tile over a plains tile, you only need a 1-to-1 ratio. So that's a decision that needs to be made. I mean, there's a way of combining them so you go some speed that's faster than 5 ticks per tile over swamp and such like. You've got to decide how much range power you want, how much close combat power you have. Each of these costs a different amount of resources, so you're always making the balance between what you want it to be able to do and how many resources you're willing to spend on it. And that's sort of, at least in this current alpha, that's actually at the core of several of the arenas, is deciding what you want to spawn. I'm not going to go through this demo because it's essentially doing what you can see here. So this is the attack creep, which is doing what we were doing before. This guy's healing him. That's what that green glow is. And this is the range creep who's zapping him from afar. So yes, we can kind of see what's going on there. I'm not going to go through the code. Next one. So structures. This sort of introduces structures. Here we have a tower. And this tower is able to shoot at creeps from afar. That's quite powerful. So as you can see, he wipes that guy out pretty quickly. So if you can get a tower, it's a very powerful thing to have. Every shot consumes energy, so we've got to fill it up with this guy's just got a carry part. He dumps in the energy in there. And there's another structure here, a container. Finally, there's some walls which make it so it's hard for the blue creep to get to the tower. So we've defended it by a perimeter wall that we've built. So again, I'm not going to go through the code in detail, but essentially we're telling the tower to attack the target, but to do that we need to transfer energy into it. So we would call withdraw and transfer. Terrain. I've kind of talked about terrain. Now I haven't dealt with all the terrain, so let's actually go through all of them. So there's plains. Plains let you move at sort of regular speed. There's natural indestructible walls. There's constructed destructible walls. There are swamps which make you go 5 times slower, and roads that actually make you go faster. Well, not faster for a given. Okay, so let's take a step back. So the way it works is that every body part generates fatigue, and then move offsets that. So if you have 5 move parts and 5 regular body parts, then you generate 10 fatigue and you remove 10 fatigue. Now, what you can do if you go on a swamp then is you generate 5 times as much fatigue. So you generate 50 fatigue, and then every tick that reduces by 10. So you go 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 0. You can move, and then you generate, more fatigue again. So roads, the way roads do is they half the fatigue that is generated. So I've got 5 move parts and 10 useful parts, then I can move at full speed on roads. So this is actually, the demo all describes this in many words, but I don't want to spend a lot of time going over it. So just to quickly say, the developers of the game are available in chat if you have any questions. They're monitoring it, so do pipe up if I've skipped over anything too fast, or you have any questions about what I've said before. Do ask in chat, and someone will be able to answer that question. So yeah, as I said, read this at your leisure. I don't want to spend the entire stream going over the documentation. I think that can be a bit dry. So the demo is available, and do go through the tutorial once you get it, and you can have a little read of that. But this is sort of pictorially what happens. This guy is moving slow because he's carrying something, and that means he's quite heavy, which means he goes slower than this guy who's just moving along plains. This guy is carrying something, so he's as heavy as the top guy, but he's got a road to move along, so he zips along. This guy is carrying something on swamps and goes super slow. And then this guy's the same as our third guy. He's got a road, so he can just zip from straight to A to B. Now, the game provides us some functions so we can sort of find the closest flag by path. So, when we're actually writing the code for this, each creep needs to know what flag he's going to. So the way we do that is, it looks like there's a typo there. I don't think that should be svar. That probably should be var. Find closest by path flags. So this would be the code for this. We loop over our creeps, we find the closest flag to them, and we move to it. But this sort of image does demonstrate how movement works, how these green swamp towers make you run slowly. You can't move through these walls. How the roads can make you go faster, but as you can see, between 2 and 3, they're not necessarily going to make you go faster. It depends on your body composition and what you're carrying. Next, so the spawn is probably the most important structure in the game. The spawn is the thing that lets you build your creeps. So as I said, each body part has a different energy usage. There's a constant in game that lets you query this in code, but essentially the more useful ones are more expensive. Heal is really useful. It's really expensive as well. Tough only adds hit points, so it's only 10 energy. And what you can do with your spawn is you can say, I'll pass an array of body parts to it here. And it will spawn a creep with those body parts, if it is able to. So here we have it's spawning, and you can see, so again, I'm not going to go into writing code for this, but we can see it spawns a creep, that creep moves to a flag, spawns another creep, that moves to its flag. So it's spawning 2 flags, and not quite sure why that guy goes left first, maybe he's heavy, but that's what it's up to. So yeah, that's quite important. So you can take energy to the spawn creeps, and then use those creeps to do things. In this case, we're just moving to flags, but you could use them to attack other people or generate more energy. This is the sort of structure that underpins a lot of the arenas, or 2 of the 3 arenas we have so far, I should say. So one of the arenas does not have a spawn, the other two do, and I imagine a lot of arenas in the future will have spawns. So as I said earlier, there's ways of getting energy, and that's using work parts and parry parts. So here we can see this pictorially again. What this guy's doing is he's going to the source, which is that yellow square. He's hitting it a few times with his work parts. You can see he slowly fills up with energy, and then you can take that energy to the spawn. The spawn could then go on and spawn more creeps, and that's how you get your growth in this game, how you can use your economy to grow things. You do actually have to sort of take the energy to where it's going to be used, and in this case, this is a spawn, and it comes from this thing which is called a source. Construction is the next step. So, as mentioned before, you can not just harvest energy, you can use that energy to build structures. So here he's just built a tower. So that's a construction site. It's half full. He goes up to it, pumps a load of energy into it, and fills it up and gets us a tower. So there are many structures. They're not all listed here. We'll just go through a few of them. So we have, we've seen containers. This little box is a container. We've seen spawns. We've seen constructed walls. This is a tower that gets built. There's a few other things. So there are something called a rampart. Now, a rampart is like a wall, but and only your creeps can move through it. So it's like a passable wall, but only for you, which is nice because, if you just build walls, then they can't get in, but you can't get out. If you build a rampart instead, then you can get out, but they can't get in. Ramparts are more expensive than walls. They also have the ability to protect whatever they're built on top of. So if you build a rampart on top of a structure, for example, it protects that structure from hits. If you have a creep on the same tile as Rampart, it protects that creep from hits. So Ramparts are quite powerful. There's also something called extensions. Now extensions, you noticed in the let's step back one. Let's go to 8 here. Notice here we take energy to our spawn. Alternatively, you can take energy to an extension, and that increases your ability to spawn new creeps. I wonder if there's any more. Have there's any I've forgotten? Let me have a look at the docs to see if there's anything I've forgotten here. Tower spawn, container, wall, extension, ramparts. Yeah. So those are the structures in the game at the moment that you can build, but there may be more. If you look at Screeps World, there are several more structures available that we do not yet have in Arena, and that might be. You'd have to ask the devs whether it is. I imagine just we haven't come up with they haven't come up with an arena that requires them, or maybe there are no plans to. I don't know for sure. And then the final test. From the looks of it, we get attacked and we've got to survive it. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to jump straight in and start writing a bot. So is there, just, going out to the chat, is there an arena you'd particularly fancy me taking a go at? I'm going to be writing a bot live, so it's going to be a mix of coding, running, and going through the process of actually playing the game. So we'll get to see how the game plays from scratch. I have to make sure I have chat open for this, or it's not very useful. Oh dear, I didn't mean to do that. Just squished it. So I'll wait a few minutes. It may be that no one has anything in particular they want to see, in which case I'll probably just do capture the flag. Oh, there we go. One vote for spawn and swamp. Okay. Give it another 20 seconds or so. I just grab a glass of water. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is make sure it doesn't use my my optimized code. Okay, well it seems one for spawn and swamp, one for collecting control. So we might end up doing both. They're both, require you to spawn things. I'm going to start with spawn and swamp then. So the first thing I have to do is set up my code directory. Now right now I have this set up to load my good code. I'm going to, as a first thing, set it up to use not my good code. So there we go, alpha spawn and swamp. I then have to head in and so here's the description of the arena. Let's just go through that first. So it's 100 by 100 tiles. There's random terrain, mostly covered by swamp. So if you remember from the tutorial, swamp makes us move a lot slower. We start with a spawn, which allows us to create creeps by spending energy. Energy storage is available in containers nearby. So we start off with these 3 containers right by our spawn. There's additional energy in the middle of the map. So something to fight over. If you can get control of that additional energy, you can spawn more creeps than the nearby guy. You can win. But the objective, never lose sight of the objective is to kill their spawn. The objective is not to take the energy in the middle, the objective is to kill their spawn. So they're giving us some sample code. I'm going to start with that as a base. Why not? So let's I'm going to copy paste that into my Sublime text here. And there we go. And what we're going to do is, before we do a racing game, we can just test this against an idle opponent to see if everything's working. So let's do that. I won. Well, that's good. That's what we expect. So we can fire it up. We're the red. I think we're always red at the moment. Oh dear, I'm not showing the screen. There we go. We did win. It's easy to accidentally have the code overlay. We can speed it up or slow it down. We can see here's our little guy. We'll go over the example code in a second. It's not very complicated. This is the outcome from it. So our guy does his own little pathfinding, figures out the fastest way to move across the swamps, comes over, and whacks the spawn. So that's what we wanted to happen. So good, the example code that the devs provide us works. So what does this example code do? Firstly, we import some things. That's sort of the first step of any file. We've got to import the things that we need. And then we just define a sort of globally scoped variable attacker. If we don't have an attacker, grab our spawn, so we get all the spawns, then we find one that's ours. So find will find the first one that is ours. And then we go attacker is spawn creep object. So if it's able to spawn a creep, the object field will contain the creep object, so we'll be able to assign this. Otherwise, it'll be undefined. So if for whatever reason this is unable to spawn a creep, then that's going to come out undefined, and it'll try again next tick. So next tick, we will have an attacker, or we will have it spawning. So then we do the same thing. We get all the spawns. We find one that isn't mine, so there's a not there, and we go move to it and attack it. Simple as that. And move to does all the pathfinding itself. So as you could see, when I go back to the window the game capture, it spawns the guy, and he figures out the fastest way over these swamps. You'll see he's not going to take the most direct path because these swamps make him move really slowly. So he's going to go up here. He's probably going to dive down to this gap here, maybe. Yes. And sort of take a slightly weird route to get there. Now I think the default system obviously is aware of these constructed walls, so it's able to avoid them. And we're testing against an idle opponent, so nothing's going on the other side. Great, so that's good. The sample code works. We're not going to launch straight at the sample code. I'm going to write some code now. So first things first. I think the first thing I'd like is someone to fill my spawn. So we've got those containers by our spawn. As you can see on the little description, there's the containers full of energy by our spawn. We want to take energy from them and put them in our spawn. So I'm going to have two haulers, I think. So just to preface this, I'm writing fairly quick and dirty code. I think it's often the case that when you first start with something, the best way to do it is just to write code and see what you get, because quite often you don't really know where you want to go, and then you refactor and branch things out. When I look at my main code, I've got folders and hundreds of files. I'm going to mostly keep things in a single file because it's easier. So we'll start. I think I'll declare my spawn all the way up here. And I may as well declare, I don't know why one's var, one constant, the default. I may as well declare the enemy spawn. So what I want to do is I want to have move and carry. And similarly, if I don't have hauler 2, I want to do move and carry. So what this will do is do an else chain. Got to be a little careful because it will spawn them in order. So yeah, that'll do, I think. Yeah, so we'll have our spawning logic up here, and then we'll have our actual logic down here. Let that do. Oh, can I do that? I don't know if the game lets me do that. I don't think the game does let me do that. I don't think it lets you have declarations like that global. I can't remember. We can try it. There we go. Is it going to let me do this? Oh, hold on, one is not defined. Oh, that's fine. But it does let me declare an array global scope there. So this was a draw because it didn't do anything. But it's quite nice that you can just throw up a test against an idle opponent and it will work. There we go. And then we want to write something for the haulers. So we're looping over our haulers. We want to say if the hauler has energy, so the store is what it's carrying. Resource energy. So we have to import a few more things up here. We need we've used carry, haven't we? And then resource energy. Then move to my spawn. So I know the API fairly well. I'm pretty sure this is right. So I'm just sort of typing the things. You can sort of imagine what hauler transfer does. Transfers to my spawn resource energy. The docs are all there. Yeah. Right, we're going to have to get containers. So we're going to have to import containers as well. Oh no, I need a find closest by range. So I think so. This is one of the things that I've changed in my regular code base. So I have to double check in the docs exactly how you do it in without. Okay, it's just in utils, so I can grab it from here. Find closest by range, and what I can do is I can say find the closest container. Now, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to filter them. I'm going to say I want containers that have energy. That'll do. That's troopy. That'll do. So then I can get my hauler to move to the closest one that has energy. In fact, let's grab the closest one up front because we're going to want to reuse that. There we go. Oh dear, no. Move to the container and hauler, withdraw, container, resource energy. Boom. So this should hopefully pop back and forward, moving energy to our spawn. So because I can test against an idle opponent, I've written some code. I think it's right, but why not test it? So let's give it a go. So this isn't going to do anything particularly useful. Oh yeah, so yeah, I have a bug. Always the way. Someone had probably noticed that already. Yes, I'm missing an equals. So you know, it gives me an error straight away. It says line 15. This is what I had. Let's hauler my spawn creep. That obviously needs to be an equals. So yeah, let's have that equals there. Oops. So yeah, as it says, line 15. So that's quite nice. It just gives me the error straight away if it's a syntax error. Let's test it now. Right, well, I was still 1, which is good. So it means nothing bugged out. And what we can see is, let's move it really slowly. So the first thing I did, oh, Okay, that's a fun bug. So this is giving me an error in console. So what I've done is I've created my hauler, and then immediately it's trying to say it seems like the store object doesn't yet exist. Oops. I don't know if it's meant to exist or if that's a bug in the game. But the store object doesn't exist, so it's my code is crashing out. But fortunately, it does exist next tick. So it spawns the hauler. As I told it to, it will move to the container and grab it. Oh, wait a sec, that's not what I want. I don't want it to move all the way to container. And it will come back. So that's not quite going how I want it. I need to fix that. So the problem here is twofold. Well, the main problem. Firstly, I need to fix this this error. That's a bit annoying, so I can fix that. But the problem here is it's stepping onto the container and then having to step back. It can transfer from here, so there's no point in stepping all the way there. So let's fix that now then. Do capture. So I only move to it if the range is greater than 1. Else we're in range. Actually, we can do something a bit cheeky here, which a lot of people don't do. So even to the pro players, here's a tip. We go straight back to the spawn. We don't have to wait a tick there. We can withdraw and go straight back to the spawn. And actually, because we're, while we're doing this, we may as well do it at the spawn. So if we're not in range to the spawn, move to the spawn. Otherwise, transfer. And then we have to do this code. So I'm going to be really ugly and do this. Don't you just love it? There we go. So what this is saying is, if we've got energy, if we're far from the spawn, just move to the spawn. If we're next to the spawn, give the energy to the spawn and immediately move back towards the container. Don't wait a tick standing by the spawn. Similarly, after we picked it up from the container, immediately move to the spawn after we've drawn it, rather than waiting a tick. So this should be much more efficient than what I've got going here. So yeah, I don't want that anymore. Oh, let me just fix that bug as well. So for whatever reason, hauler store is not defined. We just continue. Let me just show that code change I just did. Just added this. Yeah. So let's play away. So we can't. Oh, looks like it's broken. Looks like I've broken something. Get range is not defined. Oops. So that's what you do when you forget to import stuff. Yes. So let's just, we can just define that. Now, for those Screeps players out there, you may find that just importing these things is a bit funny. So in my code, I don't import them like this. What I do instead is, and I might do that here because you know what, I'm going to constantly making these bugs. Is I have a little snippet that I'm just going to grab that pulls everything into my global namespace. And now I know that this is, bad practice and stuff, but on the other hand, I quite like the global namespace because it's what I'm used to, and it's very easy to forget to import stuff. Now, bad side is that there's potential for conflicts, but trying to find my snippet, but I can't find it right now, so I'm going to have to fire up something here. Let me just give me a second. There we go. So yeah, this is what is known as bad practice. But what I'm doing here is I'm saying take all the constants, put them in global namespace. Take everything in utils, put it in global namespace. Take everything in prototypes, put it in global namespace. So this means I don't have to, when I use a new constant, like I can't remember what constant it just complained about in my game, but get range, yeah, so it didn't have get range from utils. Well, now I'm just including everything that's in utils. So this is bad because obviously it means that I can have conflicts with stuff I define myself. I'm being really not being very careful. But on the other hand, it means that it's what I'm used to. So yeah, rather than spend the next however long the stream runs constantly having the same bugs because I forget to import stuff, I'm just going to be lazy. Sorry about that. So there we go. That's that bug fixed. And let's have another go. Right, we won again. So what I hope to see here is I want these guys to come out. No errors in my console here. That's important. For arena players old and new, there's a button here. Now this might be of interest to anyone playing the demo or anyone even in the closed alpha. There's a button here which changes the console mode. Now I don't have any console output, but it changes the console mode from only the current tick to all ticks, which I find helps a lot. I'm just going to switch that off. I'm not logging anything anyway at the moment. So this is working how I wanted it to. Let's wind that back. I zoom to that. He comes out and he grabs it and turns around on the same tick. He doesn't spend a tick there waiting. Turns around on the same tick, gets to my spawn, drops it off, turns around on the same tick. Now I've got these two guys. So they are able to deliver. How often do they come? It takes them 1, 2, 3, 4. I think every 4 ticks I get 50 energy from each of them. Let's have a. So he dropped off energy. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. So he's going back and forward every 4 ticks. So I've got 2 of them. So every 2 ticks, I get 25 energy. So 12.5 energy a tick. Which is a reasonable amount to be pulling into your spawn. I could get it higher by spawning 3 of them, but 12.5 is right. Right, now we have to come up with strategies to win the game against a non-idle opponent. So it's an interesting map, I would say. I would say we've got this energy in the middle. That's 10,000 energy. We only start with 2,500 in each of these and 500 in our spawn. So we start with 8,000 at home. It's 10,000 in the middle, 10,000 down here, 10,000 up here. Now it's a bit complicating writing code to deal with that, so I'm not going to bother today. Instead, what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and push the other guy's spawn, because that's the objective. You'll notice a lot of people do go for the energy in the middle, because if you can defend your spawn and get the energy in the middle, you pretty much won. We're just going to go, hey, you know what? Who cares about winning? Who cares about the energy in the middle? We're going to try and win the old-fashioned way. So I am going to just spam creeps, I think. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a. Well, let's put it out to the chat. So I've got a few ideas. Let's see if anyone fancies a particular idea. So one idea I have is to have. So if I get 5 move parts for every 1 active part, I go full speed over the swamps. So that's quite nice. So one idea I have is to have alternate the fast ones with the slow ones. So start spawning slow ones and then spawn faster and faster ones. So I can push out at the start with my slow ones and then my fast ones sort of catch up and sort of help in the fight if they meet it. So maybe the first one I spawn moves really slowly and the second one moves a bit faster and the third one moves a bit faster. So they sort of, while the later ones spawn later, they all sort of come together near the end. Another option is send all fast creeps. Another option is send all slow creeps. Another option is to keep them all around at the start and then push them out all together. I don't really know what I fancy right now. I quite like the squidge them all up technique. I might do that. I quite like the sound of that. It sounds like it might be fun. So unless anyone has a particular thing they want to see, I'm going to do that. Oh, someone wanted to fight a real enemy. Well, we can fight a real enemy. Let me just. I will actually do that. It's ideally you want a bit better code before you do a real enemy game, but for the sake of interest, I'll do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change. Um, change attackers to an array, and I'm going to change this to do this. And then I can do there we go. So what this now does is it just keeps spawning move attack creeps while it has energy and pushing them onto the back of the array. And then for every move attack creep, it will send it to the enemy spawn and attack. So there we go. We'll just run that against what is hopefully a real opponent. Firstly, we'll test against an idle opponent. Always good to test, because you don't want to go up against a real opponent in a match that matters. Oh, there we go. I've got a bug. Attacker.push is not a function, so it probably should be attackers.push. I won't show you that I fixed that. Just believe me, I fixed it. And we'll have oh dear. So unfortunately, the game's still running because the other guy isn't beating me. I've blocked up my spawn. Everything's bunged up. We have to wait until this one times out. It'll time out at 5,000 ticks. I thought that was 2,000, but it seems to be 5,000 ticks. I thought it said 2,000. Yeah. Don't know why that's saying 2,000 and it's actually 5,000. So I fixed that. I'm not going to show the fix. It was just typing a T. There we go. There we go. Oof. I wonder why some of them are going up, some are going down. That's interesting. So here we go. This is my mass spam strategy. Oh, we've got a bug. Oh, we're timing out. Oh dear. So what's happening here is because I've got so many guys, you've got a 50 millisecond execution time, and these paths are not cached. So every single tick, all of these guys are trying to calculate a path to here. Every single tick, and from the looks of it, they are causing my scripts to time out. Not every tick, some of them it doesn't time out. And that's what I'm getting here. It's saying during the path search, it's timing out. Now, all code that's executed up to that point still runs. So my front ones are probably running just regular speed. My back ones are not. So maybe there's some optimization we can do for that, but let's not worry about that now. Let's throw us into a rating game. Here we go. Wish me luck. Game is running. We are playing Dimitri FF number 2, who unfortunately appears to be, his code does not appear to be working. So, here's how it works. Dimitri FF number 2 was code written by that player at some point in the past. So every time you submit some code to run, it is saved by the game, and then it's got a rating, and in the future anyone can play against it. So this is my first version, V1. This is his first version. Maybe he's also got a V10, which is much better than this. So this isn't necessarily the best he can do, or his current version. This is just the version that it's decided to put me up against. So we won. Nice. Let's carry on going till we lose. Now against Tigga, version 862. Oh dear. So he's building away, and he's got a combat creep. That's the problem, because we don't look at combat creeps. We're just rushing straight at the spawn. Yes. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. This isn't working very well. I think this is going to end badly. Incidentally, you will notice that the terrain is different this time around. Yeah. Yes, this isn't going well. This isn't going well at all. And this is his 60-second version. I don't know what his latest version is. I can find out, actually. Yes, then I think we are going to be defeated. We'll let it run on. Oh, we got some guys through. Oh, but you know what I was saying earlier about these ramparts? He's put a rampart on his spawn. Spawn's got 3,000 hit points, but the rampart's got 10,000. So I'm chewing away at the rampart before I chew away at the spawn. So I managed to do 4,500-ish damage to it, but now we are in trouble. And then my hauler code is looking for the closest container, but it's not aware that these are stuck in walls, so it's not doing a very good job. So what he's done here is he's built, these are extensions that I talked about earlier. So these are ways of getting more energy to spawn with. So he's carrying on being able to spawning using energy from these extensions. So he's going to spawn some more guys, and he's going to come and kill me, I think. Oh yeah, he knocked a hole in the wall for me. Excellent. Oh dear. No, 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 no. Yeah, you knew that rampart would come in handy. Looking at chat, someone, the person who has just defeated me built the rampart there. So we're going to have to change our code to win. Now, what went wrong? I think a few things went wrong. This is all looking all right. I like this. This is quite nice. Now, here's a problem. If we're sat next to his dude, we should hit it, shouldn't we? We shouldn't just carry on charging forward until we reach the spawn and hit that. So we got to the spawn, we did 30 points of damage to the rampart, but we just, we didn't hit his guy on the way by. So we should probably just, hit people on the way by. So I think that's one thing we've got to fix. What else do we have to fix? Well, everyone came along the top. Maybe if some of them came along the top and some of them came along the bottom, then it wouldn't work so well for him. Because as you can see, his guys are coming out of his little home area here. If I had some guys coming in here, then maybe I could start eating away at that while these guys are distracted by, yeah, I'd have half as many coming in the top, but, maybe that would work. So I think there's a couple of options. So what the game lets you do is it lets you play the game again. Now, previously it was rated, now it's a test game. So I can play against his code exactly as it was, frozen in time once again. Now, I suspect we're going to lose because we lost last time, but, you can see this is exactly the same thing again. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to go through the sort of process that this game allows you to do and upgrade my code until hopefully I'm winning. Now, this might be a challenge. I might give up on this. It may be that his code, is a bit good for me to beat with simple tactics at the start, but we'll give it a go. So as you can see, this is kind of going similarly to before. If you're really observant, you'll notice it's probably not exactly, it might be exactly the same. I've got no randomness in my code. He may have no randomness in his code, in which case it might be working out exactly the same. I can't remember. I haven't got anyone through yet. Oh no, I'm going to get some guys through. I'm going to get some guys through here. So maybe it is working out the same. And he's coming back to deal with me. Yes. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, defeat. Oh dear, we've gone all the way back. There we go. Sorry, my mic cuts out occasionally. Let's try and upgrade our code. So, firstly, if get range, attacker, enemy spawn, if we're in range. Otherwise, we would try and kill his creeps. So firstly, let's get all of his creeps. Get object by prototype, creep, filter, and I don't know exactly how this works. I don't know. I'll do this anyway. I'm pretty sure I don't need that. I don't think I do need that. So all the creeps that aren't mine. So what we're going to do is we're going to do for all the creeps that aren't mine. If I'm not in range of the spawn, but I am in range of the enemy creep, then attacker, attack, enemy creep. Great. Piece of cake. So let's see how that goes. We don't have to do anything. Too complicated? That's an upgrade. Let's see how it goes. I don't think we'll win, but we can try. Cause some damage along the way. There we go. So we're going to be approaching it. Slow it down a bit. Let's see if it works as we expect. So what we want to see is we want to see some attacks going out against his guys. Oh, did that work? So it's a slight challenge in that he's healing the guy. He's healing him. 2 heal parts should be 24 healing. Yes, it did. So he took some hits damage. He took 6 hits damage, which is what I expect. So I do 30 damage. He does 24 healing, so that's 6 hits damage. So that's better. We still lost, but it's better. We're able to do a bit of damage. Yes. We've still got... So one thing that does matter here is that my order is move then attack, which means I lose my ability to move, and then I lose my ability to attack. It's that way round, not the other way round. If I lost my ability to attack, then lost my ability to move, then, well, a creep that can't attack anything is useless, but a creep that can sit there attacking anything that wanders by at least has a purpose. So that's a good order to have. But it doesn't really make much difference that I'm attacking his guys as I go past. Makes a bit of difference, like these guys are hurt now when they weren't hurt before. But he has heal parts, so that's able to heal 24 per tick, and that's able to heal 24 per tick, and each of my guys only does 30 a tick damage, and they get wiped out pretty quickly as they walk past him. But I managed to get more through this time, so there's progress. How much? Actually, that's not looking bad at all. We got it down to 1,870. So yeah, maybe we can do better than that. So what next? What next? As I said, I want half my guys to go to the bottom and half to go to the top. I think that would be a better strategy than sending them all to the top and all to the bottom. Might be wrong, might not be. So it's a bit tricky. I'm going to have to figure out a way to do this. I think what I'm going to do is I know a few things. So I know where my spawn is. I also know some things about the map. So if I just so I can look at the map, I'm gonna hit play again. And I don't really care about the result. I just want to look at the map and do some sums. So I know that so long as my X position, the difference between my spawn X position and my X position is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 or so, then I'm going to be in this bar on the left. And because I've got to be careful because of that guy. So what I'm going to do is, actually I don't even need to do that. Oh dear, what should I do? I know. So every time I spawn an attacker, I'm going to give him a property. And what I'm going to do is, shall I make it random or systematic? Let's make it systematic. If attackers, am I streaming the right thing here? Yes, I am. Good. It's very easy to forget to switch on and off my my text editor stream. So the first attacker goes to the bottom, the second one goes to the top. So they swap round. Now we've got to change the move function. So if attacker.x minus my spawn.x, and then if I get the absolute value of that, So this should be true if we're sort of not moved that far from our spawn. I've used 20. Okay, I use 10. We can move to some location which is fairly safe and at the top. So let's call it. Well, let's say if attacker.top. So we're at the top. So let's take the enemy spawn. And then we're going to create a new object to move to. So this move to expects an object with the x and y properties. So we're going to move to x enemy spawn.x, and then y enemy spawn.y minus 30. 30 times up from this is 54, so that would take us to 24. Maybe go to 14. Yes, there we go. And then if I do plus 40, would that work? That would take me to 94. Oh dear, that's looking less so good. Yes, not so good. But nicely, I can do range 10. So that says any tile within range 10 of this location. So you want to move to inside a wall, or the Pathfinder will get very confused trying to find it. But I can move to anywhere in range 10. I'm pretty sure that should be out of a wall. There should be a non-wall within 10 tiles. So the top, if I'm at the top, then I move to here. If I'm on the left, so if I'm near my spawn, I move to here, and then once I get out of that, I move directly to his spawn. And then I can do else if attacker.bottom and do exactly the same thing, but let's do this. So we have to be a little careful because in this test game, I'm always on the left, but I might be on the right. So which is why I'm doing the comparison here with the delta x instead of just saying x is less than 10. Right. Then otherwise we just move to the spawn. So what this should do, if I've got it right, and I haven't done any bugs, is it should move half alternating attackers to the top and the bottom, and then to the spawn. So let's see if that works, and let's see if it wins. So no, it's not working. It's not working. They're all going to the top. Okay. And let's come up with defeat again. I'm not going to watch the whole thing. So I suspect what's gone wrong is actually the fastest way to that corner is to go up here, down through the middle of the map, and then up. Because this is all quite swampy down there. So I suspect what the Pathfinder's done is, especially since I've got this little channel here, is it's gone, actually, the fastest way, I've told it to go to here, and the fastest way to go to here is up then down, but I've told it as soon as it gets outside of range X distance of 10 from the spawn, then just go straight to the enemy spawn. So let's change this to 50. Let's see if that does the trick. It might not. Maybe I need to change that even further. We'll see. So they're all going at the top. And then what I want to happen is half of them, yes, to come down here and half of them to go up there. That's what I want to happen. And that's what's happening. And then the game has a slight spoiler alert system where it tells you if you've won or lost before the round's over. Which is a bit of a shame, but when it can be a bit of a shame. It means there's no tension. See, my guys are doing alright, they're getting straight in there. But they're not doing well enough. So the thing is, he's spawning 2 sets of these groups of 4. I'm just slamming into him and not actually. He's, one of the sets of the groups of 4 hasn't left the base yet. And my guys are moving without any particular. Oh no, got a few in. Come on, guys. Whew. Go. Yes. Without any particular wisdom. Oh, we're not doing bad here. Oh, this is getting close. Oh, it's on half hit points. Oh, well, anyone got any ideas? Anyone got any ideas? We can beat this. We can do this. Now, one of the things to bear in mind that a trap I am falling into a little bit is that we've got to make sure that our our code is general. I can't go and write my code only to beat this one particular code of this one particular player. So I think the moving to the top and bottom is fairly general, but maybe if I write something else, it won't be as general. So I don't have any good ideas. There's something that's both simple and general. I mean, I have ideas, but so let's. I know what I can do. Let's improve our haulers. So right now they do something really stupid. They try and here's our haulers. They're trying to find energy from here. And they can't do that right now. So what I can do is I can do a very quick fix. Now this is this is a general fix, but it help against this game, but it might not help in general. And I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to say that um, uh, I'm going to say that if container dot y minus 50 so I'm going to say I only care about containers that are within 20 tiles of the Y center line, which should be all of mine and all of the middle ones. Now that's an improvement. I don't think it's going to be good enough. So I think I might just say, oh, I don't know. It's so close, isn't it? It's so close. I mean, we can run that one, see if it works. It shouldn't work, I don't think. Shouldn't work. It might work. So the idea is that once they've finished stuffing energy into this, oh, it didn't work. They'll go to the middle. We can zoom ahead a bit rather than watching it all. Yes, so now they come to the middle. And where are they? Yes, and they're grabbing energy from there, which means they'll get a few more guys out. But presumably those guys get intercepted just like the other guys. Is that still... Oh, we did even less damage this time. Well, that can't be right. Yeah, we did less damage this time. Huh. Well, that made it worse. Huh. Or it might be some of the pathfinding issues had a impact. So I think I'm gonna say I'm not gonna get the code to be good enough for this. So I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna play a few more games and see how it does against other people. See where we score. Okay, same player, but this time version 31. So, we did all right against version 60 something, so maybe we've got a chance against version 31. Here we go. Plan is executing. Oh, there's an interesting thing where some of the guys who were targeted at the top prefer to go down to the bottom. Oh dear. Oh, looks like his code's broken. See, this can happen sometimes. It's always nice to see. His code is failing to attack me, so I just get to kill his spawn. Excellent. So everyone has bugged versions of their code. Well, not everyone. A lot of people have bugged versions of their code in the pool. So version 31 is probably not very high ranked, but it's also bugged. And we'll just carry on. You'll also notice this is my version 2. So this is your version increments when you you take it a new version into ranking. So my version 1 was the one that just spammed stuff. My version 2 is the one that spams stuff at the top and at the bottom. And so the test versions I had in between do not count as versions because they only played in test matches. So here we go. We're going to be defeated. So this is sort of what kind of should happen. He's split his forces top bottom. He's got ranged guys who are just picking off my guys one by one because my guys are really stupid. Yeah, defeat to cookies. And let's play another one. I'm going to zip ahead again. Grub 5. We have defeated Grub 5. So there we go. So you can keep on playing like that, and you'll end up with a rating. I think I've done my qualifications now, and I've ended up rank 13. Not a lot of people played Spawn and Swamp, but look, it's put me. This is very simple code. It's put me 13 out of. There's my main code. Look at him up there. 13 out of 41. Now you can keep on playing games. I don't even have to go and watch the replay, so I get the game is running, and then it'll run and it'll give me the result. And what I'm now going to do is because I said defeat against version 215, and I lost 7 points to that. I can watch the replay, try and improve against him using the test games as before. In fact, I might just watch the replay after this one. 235, version 235 now. I think I'm going to beat 235. This is looking good. Oh, he's got a rampart. I hate it when people do that. Oh dear. So one of the things about this strategy is it would work quite well if he only had 3,000 hit points. But he's got, I'm going to win. He's got more than 3,000 hit points. But looks like he doesn't have code to step back and defend himself. So there we go. Version 200, he's gone through 235 iterations. I've gone through 2. And there we go. We can see my match history. I lost 7 losing to him. I gained 7 losing to him. And I gained 2 ranks, and I went down 1 rank. So -2 means I go towards 1. So it's kind of a bit weird to see a minus with a green. But there we go. Gained 2 ranks. So now I'm up to 12th. Here I am. See if I can break into the top 10 playing a couple of games. Let's see how it goes. Oh dear. Defeat. Alas. Okay. Let's go to collect and control just quickly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a bit of collect and control, and then I'm going to show some replays from my main code. So you'll notice that at least when we looked at Spawn and Swamp, there is a Tigga here and a Tigga here. I got the devs to sort of sort out a new account for me so I could start from 0 rather than because it attempts to match you around people with the same rating. So I'd be matched up against the people with the top ratings, and that wouldn't be anything interesting. And you can see my last 5 games, defeat and victory, I can play against any of those opponents again, and that would let me tune my code against those particular code versions. And once I'm at the stage where I can beat them reliably, I sort of feel that I've got an improvement. The trick, as I said earlier, is to make sure it's an improvement that's generic and not tailored too much to them. So we're going to do a bit of collect and control. Let me see. Yes, I think so. So let's. I'm just trying to decide how I want to write the code for this. I think I'm going to start with my Spawn and Swamp code. So I've set it to its own folder, so it's going to be different code. And we'll do this for maybe 10 or 20 minutes, and then I'm going to go on to look at some replays from from good games that I played. So we're going to start with similar code. It's actually exactly the same code. Get rid of that because I don't use it. And we're going to get rid of the attackers. This one's about collecting stuff. I don't care about the enemy spawn anymore. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to build haulers. Oh, that's not going to work, is it? All right, we're going to build a harvester, then some. So my spawn starts with 500 energy, and let me just and it starts with a source next to it, which is what this yellow blob is. And go to the source, I can harvest energy, I can put it in my spawn new guys. So instead of having a container, I have a source. So what I need to do is I need to spawn a harvester to go and harvest energy from that source. So I'm going to write code to do that, and I'm going to write haulers to go and grab the score and put it in the collector. Yes. I'm going to need a few more things here. Yes, I need them later. And we'll have work. There we go. So work's 100, 100, 100, 100, 50, 50, 50. It's 450. I can afford that. And so what he's going to do is he's going to go to the thing, he's going to work, and then he's going to carry the energy back to the spawn. This isn't the most efficient way of doing it, but it's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clear some of this stuff up for later. There we go. So let's firstly do our harvester. So I can spawn 2. So this is a similar thing that I was doing before, but it's sort of having to write code while talking is an interesting challenge. Harvester, no, more harvesters. Harvesters. So for all my harvesters, I want them to, if harvester store get free capacity. So that means if it's got space, move to the closest source. Else move to my spawn. Oh yes, and harvest. Move to the source, harvest the source. Else move to the spawn and transfer energy to the spawn. So we'll see them in action. I think that works. Now, the way this arena works is we get containers. They're filled with something called score. We have to take the score to the collector. So we're going to reuse our old hauler code a little bit, but this time we're going to go to the collector. So what's it called? I can't remember what it's called. I'm going to have to look at the doc. It might just be called collector. Called score collector, and we're going to have to include it, import it. From long yes, and I need those. I always forget the syntax for this. Pretty sure that's right. So there is only one, and in the advanced arena there's multiple. So if I've got score, go to the collector, and drop the score into it, to change all my energy to support score here. And then find the closest valid container, which I've just changed from last time, move to it. If I don't have score, find the closest valid container, and we don't have any attackers. Okay, so actually what we're going to do this version for now. I have an upgrade that I want to do, but I'm just going to do this version for now. I'm going to leave enemy creeps in there because I'm going to want them later. And let's just put that as my first version. So firstly, test it against an idle bot. Make sure I haven't done any bugs, because I probably have. I usually do. Yeah, harvest is not defined. Is it not? Oh, harvesters. See? Straight away. Got a bug. So we didn't win against the idle opponent. You always want to win against the idle opponents. If you can't win against... for each of undefined. Oh dear. Got a lot of bugs here. What's going on here? So let's just make this a bit smaller so I can see my errors and my code at the same time. So I have, firstly I have same bug as before. So if I don't have a store continue, for each of undefined, line 49. Oh, except I have to go on and add a bunch of lines. That's annoying. Oh well. It's failing on a find closest by range. Okay. I don't know. I don't know why that's failing. No, it won't be that one. Can't be that one. It's got to be this one. Well, let's go back. I fixed the first bug. I got an accurate line number. Line 51. Oh, it's further up. Okay, it's because I haven't got closest to the harvester, not just closest to anything. So I'm red up here. You can see my harvest is harvesting the energy until he's full, and then he's dumping it into the spawn. So the plan is to spawn 2 of these harvesters. It takes a little while to harvest all that energy up. But we'll spawn a second one. He's going to do it, and then we've got these guys whose job it is just to find one of these and dump it into the collector that's over here. Then when this gets to 3,000, we win. These little white blocks block me as I move over them. They're quite annoying, but the person who has the most score currently in the collector does not suffer from this blocks. So as soon as I get some score into the collector, I can zip right over them as if they were not there. So that is one of the sort of incentives to get score into the collector early. My harvesters are sort of beavering away up here. They're not really emptying the source. Maybe I should get 3 of them. Oh, I've got some errors that pop up occasionally. Line 80. Line 80 has a bug somewhere. I think I know what it is. So I will just fix that, and then I will do one more change, and then we will try some racing games for this. So line 80, the issue there is that container, there may not be any valid containers. there may not be any containers for any score in, so we'll just check against that. Now, the thing I wanted to fix, so people will come and try and kill me. So what I'm going to do is I know where all the enemy creeps are. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, no, if find closest by range, all enemy creeps. No. So firstly, if there are any enemy creeps, so I'll get the same bug as I had before. And I want to go get range. So this basically says what's the range to the closest enemy creep. And I was going to say if it's less than because I'm going to reuse something, I may as well optimize this a little bit. Closest enemy creeps there. If the range to it is less than 6, creep. Here's something that's quite useful. We can move to the closest enemy creep. We don't actually want to move to it. We want to flee. And this is something that's available in as default, the ability to flee from an enemy creep. And I can say I want to be at least range 10 away from it. And no, I don't want to break. So what I can do is then say, if someone's going to try and kill me, run away. Now, there's a flaw here. I don't check if they have any part that can kill me. That's a bit of a pain, so I'm not going to bother. It's a bit of code, but we'll just run with this for now. See how it works. It might, might fail horribly. In fact, it probably will fail horribly, but you can't write everything. So that's the sort of upgrade that you might do to this code. So we're going to run this now. We're going to test against another opponent, and then we'll run some ranking games, see where this simple code lets us get to. So I'm just zooming ahead here. It looks like everything's working. Yes, we're scoring a lot. So you'll just bear with me 1 second. I'm going to quickly... Back in a second. Yes. Okay. So we're going to test the racing games. Then after this, I'm going to show some sort of concepts of how it can get. So the first racing game, it's put me up against the idle opponent. So I hope we win this one because we beat the idle opponent before. There's no point even watching it. So it's finished. We won. Next one, we're up against Anti-Prism. So he's blue, I'm red. Looked like he's going straight away and putting the score in the collector. It doesn't look like he's bothering with energy. He's got a sort of simpler code than even us. He's taking the score and putting it in the collector. But we are taking more score and putting it in the collector. We're spawning nothing but guys to take score and put it in the collector. So our guys are dashing around like busy bees. And as you can see, when this collector is red over here, that's good. That means it's ours. When it's blue, it means it's him. Oh dear, creep is not defined. Line 98. Wow, looks like I have some pretty big bugs here. But it doesn't matter. He has more. And I have quite a swarm here. It's not really necessary. They're able to pick up everything that needs to be picked up. And I'm going to win. Let me just quickly fix that bug then. Creep is not defined. What am I doing? It's actually Hauler, isn't it? Yes. And then it was failing on line 97 as well. Not quite sure why that was failing. Because I should guard it, but whatever. That should make it safe. So we won that one. Now we're going in with version 2. So we're version 2 because version 1 had some bugs in that I needed to fix. We're going up against Quadratic. Looks like he's got a bit of a similar strategy, but he's got going a bit faster than red. So he's blue, I'm red. But I've got my guys out. Let's see if we can grab the score. So we're going for the score in these white containers. And we're going to try and take it into here. He's got a combat creep. So let's see how well our running away works. See, he's coming up against us and we're going, nope, We do not like that, and as soon as he gets close, we run away. Now, we don't run away very smartly. As you can see, often they're sort of yo-yoing about because they run away and then immediately they go back into range again. But it's doing well enough that, combined with the fact that I now control the... is that a timeout? Yes. I now control the collector. It's doing well enough that he can't really hit me very well. Oh dear, we've run into a corner here. And we've been killed. So we're doing alright. We're getting up to 1,200. We're still going. Trouble is, so one of the challenges I have here is that because my strategy is very simple, I am running into CPU limits occasionally. So CPU being execution time limits. I've got 50 milliseconds to execute all my actions. Sometimes I am not able to achieve it in under 50 milliseconds. Oh dear. Oh dear. He has got his guys guarding the base where I've got to drop in. Oh, I managed to get round. I've only got to get 200 more, 150 more. Oh, no way. No way. He's got a guy coming in. He's got a guy coming in. Now I'm on 250 more. Ah. Oh. So it looks like we're doing a bit of a dance. We can bump this up to 20 ticks a second. It depends a little bit on how much the game can count for it. And my simple retreat logic is failing me here. He's because he's camping my base now. I can't get round him. So that's a defeat, I think. In fact, it is a defeat. I can look in the corner. So I've got no one. There's no. I can still win. So if the time limit is hit, 2,000, while I'm winning, I win. But it says defeat in the corner, so I know that that's not going to happen. I got some guys out, but look, it was a pretty close. He only won with 200 in there. Uh, oh dear. Oh dear, my code editor was on top. I'm going to have to just quickly go through all that again. Terribly sorry. Very easy to do. So we'll zoom through it again. You heard what I was saying. It was quite an exciting one. I quite enjoyed it. So we'll just go through it again. So I got an early lead here. Feel like a bit of an idiot there. I got an early lead there. I managed to fill up the collector quite well. Yeah, because I manually enable and disable the visual of the code editor. So easy to accidentally have it on top. And as you can see, it looks like I'm going to win. All these guys turning in score here. I'm up to 1,500. But because I have this retreat logic, he just has to send one guy in, and all my guys go fleeing. Now, fleeing is good. It means they don't get killed, but it also means that maybe they're not being as efficient as they could be turning it in. But as you can see, I get very close, very close. I get up to 2,650 now, 2,850, but he manages to jam my creeps in some gaps, and I'm unable to make any progress. And he sort of, oh yes, and this is going on at my spawn as well. The map generation can sometimes be unfortunate. So the map generation has given me a very little chance to exit my spawn, and so that's sort of blocking me up. He's also got a similar system. It's interesting how the map generation RNG can make you win or lose individual games. But over the long run of the ratings, it should be average. As you can see, we get to 200 in the score. So he wins, but very close. Let's play a couple more. See where I end up. So it's got a system where you have 5 qualification matches, and that puts you as your initial score. I skipped ahead a bit too much there. So he's blue. He's got very simple code. He's just got this collector. I've got my collector up. Now here's my problem that I identified before. My guys will always run away from his guys, even if this guy can't hurt me, but I always run away from him because I don't actually check in my running away code where I can be hurt. But I have many more than him. I have my swarm going. It looks like the swarm is going to beat his one chap. Yes, but you can see it slowly going up. Slowly going up. Slowly going up. A lot of my swarm has nowhere to gather stuff from. And that's a victory, yes. Next. So this is the sort of the most efficient way to do it. This is how my top code does it. You harvest, and then you, rather than walking to the spawn, let's just look at it in comparison to mine. My guys, what they do is they harvest until they're full, then they walk to the spawn, and every tick they're not standing by the source here, they're not harvesting. So I'm not collecting energy while they're doing this walk, and they're quite fat, so they generate quite a bit of fatigue moving to the spawn and back. So I lose out. I'm not able to do well on this source, whereas he's got two guys, and a guy standing in the middle just grabbing it from them and putting it straight in the source. So his system's more efficient than mine, so he gets more energy per tick than I do, which is a problem for me potentially. It depends how his code is, because one of the things my code does have going for it is it will get score in the collector. The fact that I'm running away from all his combat creeps means I can get score into the collector. I don't try and fight him, I just run away. I've got a narrow entrance to my base again. I don't know if they've changed the terrain generation. It didn't used to be that tight. Maybe they have. I don't know. It might just be I've been unlucky. Now, one big advantage that you get is because I own the score collector, I can ignore these white fields. I can go straight through them. But every time his creep walks into one, so like this guy here, he gets frozen. He's going to be frozen for another 13 ticks. Whereas my guys, let me see. There we go. Here, I'm just walking through this as if it wasn't there. So that's the advantage you get when you control this thing. So controlling it is important, especially in combat situations. That can be very useful because suddenly you're able to push someone up against this freeze zone, and you can just run straight through it. If they have superiority, you can run away. If you have superiority, then you can push them up against the zone that they can't run away from through. So this one's going to run to 2,000 ticks. I can see that already. I can also see that I'm going to win. So I'm going to zip it forward a bit. And this one, oh yes, so I am winning, but my lead is shrinking over time. And this is partly because of my stupid code that runs away from his haulers. But you know, it works, and so we won. Brilliant, and I think that was our 5 rating games. And Players in Control is a very relatively new arena, so a lot of the alpha players haven't really done it yet. So this has put me up in 5th, which is probably higher than I deserve to be with this code. But this can often happen in the qualification games. The qualifications games aim is to try and put you in a sensible place, but often you'll end up a bit high or a bit low. And once you play a few more games, you'll find out why that is. See here, he's got a clever thing. He camps around the controller. I can never get in if he does that. On the other hand, he's not scoring anything. So, oh, it looks like my guys are trying to get in anyway. Are they? No, I don't think they are. Oh, we might win. Might win. It's absolute carnage. I don't think he's hitting me. I'm not quite sure what's going on. No, I think he's going to win. So because he's got it surrounded, all my guys are getting confused and generally failing and dying. Yeah, that's going to flip to blue. And once that's flipped to blue, there's nothing I can do about it. So this is a loss. Right. Well, that was quite fun. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through some higher level replays. So I don't have a lot of them to go through. We haven't seen Capture the Flag yet, so I'm going to start with that. So first things first, I'm going to go to my main profile, and as you can see, what I've done is I've saved a replay here. So I can click on that, and we can watch this. So let's talk about Capture the Flag. Capture the Flag, your job is to capture the flag. Simple as that. In fact, it's not, when you hear capture the flag, I think a lot of people expect you to have to capture the flag and take it back to your base. That's not what this game mode is. You don't have to take it back to your base. You just have to sit on it and then you win. Strictly speaking, the game mode is you have to control all the flags in the game, and you control them by sitting on them. Now, this means that if I get to his one at the same tick as he gets to my one, then suddenly we swapped. and now I have to get back to my one, and he has to get back to his one. So it's a bit of a, there's sort of some corner cases that can occur, and I have seen before. So the aim is to capture the enemy flag. Each person gets a tower in their spawn area, and this tower is quite powerful. So an attack part here, this guy's got 4 attack parts. Each attack part does 30 damage. So that's a total of 120 damage per tick. Tower, if you're within 5 tiles range, it does 600 damage. So 5 times as much as this attack creep. If you're at 20 to 50 tiles range, it only does 150 damage, and then between 20 and 5 tiles, it scales up linearly between 150 and 600 damage. In this game mode, the towers work specially, so because there's no energy harvesting or anything, they generate passively. I'm going to run it through a few ticks, and you'll see it generates passively 1 energy a tick, up to 50. It takes 10 to shoot, so you get 5 shots. So that's quite nice, and I think it adds quite a bit of interest to the game mode, and that's for a couple of reasons. One, it means that you can't just be caught out by one creep who gets round and then gets to your flag. You've got a tower to sort of be a bit of a backstop, prevent anything from getting too far. Another nice thing about it is it means that while at 50 range, it can only do 150 damage. That can turn the tide of a fight in the middle. So if you can force the other guy to play on your terms, then you've got an advantage. So there's no spawn. Each side starts with the same number of creeps, with the same composition in the same places. Across the middle, there's this big swamp, and it's got 2 bridges. And there's always a big block in the middle. This is part of the terrain generation. There's always this big block, so you can't just cross a middle swamp. So this is me against the number 2 player, Slow Motion Ghost. I can't remember when this game was played. I think this is my latest code, but it might be a bit old. And it shows how this game mode can work out. So he's got a bit of a blob, and he's pushing me. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention. There's body parts that spawn in the middle. So here is something called a body part. If I tread on that, then my creep gets extended. So instead of having 4 attack parts, I have 4 attack parts and a bonus attack part. That's quite nice. It means that you can't just sit at home all day waiting for the guy to attack you. You've got to contest the middle, because if you don't, the other guy will get more body parts than you. Now, this particular game that I've decided to show, I go after the body parts, but he does not. I didn't quite make it that decade before I got there. And my plan generally is to, because he's got a massive blob here, I have to be quite careful. If I try and spread out, then he'll push his blob across, and he'll sort of kill me piecemeal, or I won't be able to recover and defend the flag well enough. He'll push through to the flag. So I've got to be quite careful. So because he's got a massive blob, I've got a massive blob. There we go. And I've got an extra move part here. So my strategy is, he's got a massive blob, I've got a massive blob. I'll park my blob near his blob, and then if he attacks, then we'll have a 1-blob fight, and 1 blob will win. But while he's doing that, I will occasionally send this guy out to collect parts. Now, it's a risk, because while I'm out here, you know, he could decide to come across, and then I'm fighting a man down. And that's a bit of a problem. However, I do have an advantage, and that's my tower can shoot up to about here. I don't know exactly where 50 tower range is. What's that? 95. So anything up to 45. Yeah, this line. My tower can shoot up to this line. And that's quite useful. That can tip the scales in my favour, even though this guy's out of the fight. Also, he has to push across here, he has to sort of stretch out into a column, which is a bit of a disadvantage for him. So you can sort of, if you're not planning on pushing, you can do this and just about get away with it. Against his code, I do get away with it, but I don't want to push him too far. So I wouldn't go and collect one down here, because that's just a bit too far. So there's not a lot goes on for most of this game. And that's because, in general, the attacker's at a disadvantage. My first version of code, what it did, is it sat at my base until tick 1,700. And on tick 1,700, it rushed his base. And that's because most people attacked my base before tick 1,700. I had my tower supporting me, so I won. So that was the first version of my code. It was just exploiting the flaws of other people. So you don't want to be the person to make action happen necessarily. Incidentally, if I was going to stream this and develop code live, my plan was to put half my creeps here, half my creeps here, and try and sort of outflank any blob tactic. But I didn't have time to write that. It would have might have been a bit complicated. I might not be able to do it in time. So yes, we can zoom through this replay. Mostly he doesn't move. Mostly I collect body parts. And I happen to know that the action starts around now. So I believe that in his code he has something hard coded that says on tick 1700 attack. So that's what he's doing. He's got bored, he's attacking. So I have to counter that somehow. Now, it's quite a challenging thing to do because the terrain can be anything. For example, if I was controlling this by hand, maybe I'd put my 2 attack creeps at this bottleneck, put some range creeps behind, and try and force him into the bottleneck with me having a predefined formation in the bottleneck which beats his. Because I'm not controlling it by hand, and because my code isn't sophisticated enough, it doesn't really understand that there's a bottleneck here, so it doesn't try and make use of it. So what we're going to have is a bit of a blob on blob fight, and now these can get extremely complicated extremely quickly. So to just think about it, imagine you're controlling each of these guys by hand. This guy does 120 damage to anyone next to him, or to one of the creeps next to him. This guy can heal 48 damage to one of the guys next to him, or heal 16 damage to one of the guys within 3 tiles from him. This is what the green is. The blue is that can either shoot someone within 3 tiles for 10 damage apart, so 40 damage, or we can do something called a mass attack, where it damages everyone every enemy in the area, depending on how far away they are. So that's what that sort of explosion is. That's the mass attack. So having these 3 types of units, one that can only operate close up but does a lot of damage, one that does a lot of damage close up against clumps but against individual targets, it's quite good at long range, and one that heals well close up but not at long range. You've got to, given the terrain, organise your guys in such a way that they win. And you've got to consider a lot of things. So for example, on this tick, this creep can attack 1, 2, 3, 4 guys. Which one do I attack? I can't attack them all, I've got to pick one. How do I choose which one to attack? Just sitting here, I don't know what the answer is. So trying to do it in code is very hard. So which one does he attack? He attacks this guy. Knocks one of his heal parts off. That's useful. It means he can't heal as much next turn. This guy does a ranged attack and runs away. He might not have done that. He might have done something else. So then everyone else has got to sort of understand what everyone else is doing, because this guy does a ranged attack and runs away, and then that maybe frees up this guy to push forward. It all gets very complicated very quickly, and I don't claim for a second to have got this down to be as good as it can be. I do have an advantage here, by the way. This is my guy who is collecting parts all game. You can see he's quite a lot bigger than everyone else. So your strategy really is you've got the same thing as the other guy, and you've got to find the best collection of moves while they're also trying to find the best collection of moves. Now, there's lots of ways that you might approach this. So, for example, a big field at the moment, sort of reinforcement learning and machine learning and stuff. You could do something like that. There's a method called Monte Carlo tree search, where you try to predict every one of the enemy's moves, and you try to predict every one of your moves, and then you sort of that gives you the best set of your moves to beat their moves. But there's no way you can do that in 50 milliseconds. It's just not enough time. So I think most people end up being some sort of heuristic-based implementation, but it can get very complicated very quickly, because I find often what I'm doing is I'm looking at replays like this, and I see some guy does a bad move, and I'm like, what led you to do that bad move? Why did you do that? Like here I'm looking at it, I'm like, this ranged guy, I really want him in the fight a bit more. He's sitting a bit far back. What chain of events led him to be all the way far back here instead of up the front? And so you have to do a lot of analysis of the current position to try and figure out why that guy isn't where he should be for this type of fight. This is quite unique in Screeps. You don't get this much in Screeps World. You don't actually get it much in the other arenas where you've got huge blobs meeting each other and this sort of optimization. But by optimizing this sort of thing, often your optimizations are general enough to be useful for other things. So, for example, here's a really good move. I quite like this one. This guy moving into this empty slot here. So the ranged mass attack I spoke about earlier does 10 points of damage to everyone within 1 tile, 4 points of damage to everyone within 2 tiles, and 1 point of damage to everyone in 3 tiles. So you can see by moving in here, he gets 3 guys within 1 tile, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys within 2 tiles. So that's what? 30, 8 times 4, 62 damage. 62 damage. Whereas just shooting at range per part, 62 damage per part. Whereas just shooting at range, you'd get 10 damage per part. So getting your ranged attack into the right slots and avoiding the enemy doing the same thing. So for example here, maybe I've screwed up. This guy is doing a similar amount of damage to me. He's got 10, 20, 30, and then 4 guys in range 2. He's got 46, so he's doing a lot of damage as well. So I want to kill him. I want to focus my fire on that guy because he's doing a lot. At the same time, trying to do the same as him and avoiding him getting into the slots where he can hurt me. Another thing I could have done is I could have tried to draw the fight towards my tower so that I'd have my tower blasting in at range. As I said, it has a 50 tile range and it's not quite in range here. But it doesn't look like that was necessary. It looks like his guys are in a lot of trouble now. So for whatever reason, the combination of moves that I did beat the combination of moves that he did. And he's left with 2 guys running away. Did I lose any? No, I didn't lose any. Well, okay. Powers can also heal. That was what that green blast you see coming out was. Didn't lose any guys. I send him off to defend just in case, and then we kill his last 2 guys, and now he's coming to attack. And what we'll do is we'll come in and we'll mob the tower and capture the flag. That was a capture the flag gameplay. Sort of what it can look like. I'm ranked number 1. He's ranked number 2, but it's not all it can look like. People try lots of different things. So this is what this game ended up looking like. But you get people who do not blob. They put half their forces here, half their forces here, and try and push you through. And so my code is written to react to that differently. So quite often what you do is actually a counter to what the other guy does, rather than being proactive. Now maybe I could change my code and be proactive and try to do that myself and see what his counter is. But right now it's working fairly well, so I don't do that. I also have one saved for Spawn and Swamp. This one I lose. So you'll see my filling is the same as the demo I showed earlier. It's exactly the same, but my strategy is a bit different. So his strategy, he's spawned a worker creep, and I've spawned some guy with 5 move 1 attack. The idea being to kill its worker creep. I've seen that he's spawned a worker creep. I've spawned a counter to that. Because what he wants to do is get in the middle and start building stuff. This isn't quite the latest version of my code. He is the 2nd ranked player and the 1st ranked player. See, what happened is I lost this, but then I improved my code so I wouldn't lose it again. And that improvement worked. But I'll go through the things that I did wrong and look at. Sorry, lost my headset there. And look at what I did wrong. So first thing, he's clearly done something wrong here. He's come to the middle here, and that's and not running away. So he really wants to run away from my guy rather than just take his beating, but he didn't do that. Oh, I should say that if you click on my profile, all these three replays are all available, so anyone can look at them. They're not just available to me. If you click on my profile, as I did, I'll show you. So if you go to my profile, this is viewable exactly the same by anyone. You can click on any of these, and you can see these shared replays here. And anyone can share any of their own replays for their particular favorites. So you can go through and analyze this bit by bit if you really want to, and see what the people are doing. Now it seems I don't know if replays you'll be able to view generic replays or any ones that people decide to share. I don't know what the future plans for that are. So what's happened now is I've built some creeps with lots of range parts, but are quite slow. So these are 1-to-1 ratios. So that means they move 5 times slower on swamp, regular speed on plains. He's built ones with 12-to-2 ratios. Now that means that he moves fast on swamps, same speed as on plains, super fast, but he's got less firepower. He's built the extra 2 move parts just to give him another couple of hundred hits. You may remember that tough parts were introduced fairly early on. The problem with tough parts is that while they increase your hits cheaply, they also generate fatigue. So he couldn't actually use tough parts because while they are 40 energy cheaper, they generate fatigue. So he wouldn't be able to do this thing of moving fast on the swamp. Tough parts are probably the most niche part in the game because a lot of the time the extra fatigue that they generate isn't worthwhile. It's often better just to spend because you know even moving on plains you've got to get a move part and a tough part to move at a constant speed, which is 60 energy. Instead you can spend 100 energy, get 2 move parts, and then when you get damaged you don't go slow because damaged parts still contribute. So here's a mistake. Firstly, here we go. I'm not faster than him. He's not backed up against a wall. I can only attack at range 1, which is why I'm charging, but I'm never going to catch him. He can kite me forever, especially once I took some damage. There we go. So my creeps tried it, realised it was a mistake, and is running away, but he's going to get sandwiched. So he's dead. Probably. We'll see. Oh no, I managed to get some hits on. There we go. It did a bit of damage before dying. So that's not great. Another thing that's going wrong at the moment is I've got my guys spread one up here, one down here, whereas he's concentrated at the bottom here. And the reason he's been able to concentrate at the bottom there is because he moves fast on swamps. So my second guy here moved up to counter him, but because he's so much faster, he's down the bottom while I'm still mired in this swamp down here. So he's used his extra speed to get a 2-on-1 situation down here. This guy's been a bit brave. He thinks he can win. He can't win. So while he only has 4 ranged attack parts and I've got 5, while I can do mass damage to damage both of his guys, they've got 1,400 hit points. I've got 1,000. And he's going to start eating into my ranged attack parts way ill before I damage his. So I'm going to die here and lose this creep. So this is something I fixed actually. So I spawned this guy because I thought, well, you know, I've got 2.5 times the firepower of this guy. Doesn't matter that he's faster. I can beat him. But actually, that's not really true because he can much more easily double team me because I'm so slow. So one of the things I fixed is I stopped spawning this type of creep. It doesn't really work. I decided. So this guy is coming down to help, but he's so slow. Next problem. So he's got someone who moves fast on swamp still. I'm slow again. I'm still like one of these slow guys. And what's going to happen here is actually really annoying. So my guy, I'm using flee. I'm saying flee from him. What I'm saying is flee. I can't remember what range I set flee to, but it's some range that what it tries to do is it tries to find the shortest path that is X range away from the target you're fleeing from. So the shortest path that is 3 range away would be to move up and to the right or up. You know, any of these 3 tiles. Shortest path that is 4 range away would be up and to the right, up and to the right. The shortest path that is 50 range away is trickier to work out, but means we essentially go left and up round here, I think. Shortest path that's 30 range away is probably the same. So while in my cost matrix, which is the thing you use to sort of bias the pathfinding, I have something to avoid the enemies. It also is trying to get too many tiles away. So what I do is I make a mistake here and go left. He's got range 1 attack parts. I've just let him get into range. He whacks me. If I set the flea range to something like 10 with my the bias, there's a bias away from this tile. If I set it, but the swamps are even heavier. So I set it to 10, he'd have run all the way up here. And, maybe he'd have still died, but he'd have done some damage first. As it is, he jumps in here and attack parts. He's doing 60 damage a tick. I'm doing 50. He's got 1,550 hit points. I've got 940. So he's doing more damage. I got less hit points. As he damages me, he'll eat into my ranged parts well before I damage his attack parts. So this is not going to go well. So right now I've killed one of his worker creeps, but I've lost 3 guys. It's not looking good. It's given you have a fixed amount of energy, I've probably lost about 2,000 energy more than him of my 8,000 starting energy. And he has more on the field than I do. So it's a hard way to come back. Now his strategy is quite interesting. So what he's done is he's instantly gone to this middle. He's got another worker creep in here, which I didn't manage to intercept. And he's building ramparts. And when he's got rampart up on the container, it's his. I can't take it. I've got to kill the rampart. 10,000 hits. Takes a long time. And he can park creeps onto it. That's a problem. And he's just got another worker in here. So all across the map, it's going a bit wrong. He's just managed to catch out my heal creep. I don't know how he did that. I don't know what I fixed to make it so that wouldn't happen, but I think I fixed something to make it so that wouldn't happen. Yeah, he managed to catch out my heal creep, and now he's sort of, when the attack creeps latch onto you, you're in a bit of trouble. And I think this guy's going to die. Yes, we can watch him go up there into the corner and die. So yeah, no, I'm getting hammered all over the field here. I've got a bit of a counterplay here at last. I've done enough damage to his move parts that he's now moving slowly on the swamp. I'm whittling him down with my ranged guys. He seems to have a problem where his code doesn't understand that he moves slowly on swamp now that he's damaged. So we kill him, and we get some ground back. I might get a few kills here. But the problem I have now is that he's building a tower. Here's his construction site. 2,855 out of 5,000. These guys are using the energy in the middle to build a tower. And towers are pretty powerful. If I wasn't losing, maybe it'd be alright. But I'm already losing after my shocking start. So this is just going to get worse and worse and worse once he's got a tower up. So we're running around and, we're going to get a kill here. We'll probably get a kill here. So it's not, we're sort of coming back slowly, but because I've lost the middle and he's got this tower, you'll see it zaps every 10 ticks. It's got a cooldown of 10 ticks. Every 10 ticks it goes and zaps something. And yeah, it doesn't leave me with much options because it's got a rampart on it with 10,000 hit points on. These guys have all got ramparts on. They've got lots of energy in there. If you let them get a tower up in the middle, you don't have many options at all. Your only real option is to rush their spawn and try and kill it. But yeah, that's not what I'm doing, and honestly, I don't have enough creeps left. So this ended in defeat. Perhaps I should have shared a replay also where I beat a similar strategy, but I didn't. So he then goes and kills my spawn. Alas. Finally, I'm going to look at a collect and control one, which is the final one. These are shared. I've shared 2. I think this is the one I prefer. So this is the one we were looking at earlier. And as before, anyone can go to my profile and view these videos if they like. So I'm spawning energy, and as I said, this is the strategy I use as well with the harvester sitting there, and this guy transferring the energy. Looking straight at the way of the map, you can see that I've got a bit of an issue. So one thing I've not pointed out before is there's a source over here and a source over there. If you can get those sources, you can get a lot of extra energy. But I've got a bit of an issue with terrain. If you look at it, there's a big wall coming up here. There's a gap there, but it's full of swamp. So if I want to get to that source, I've got to go all the way around here. This is a bit awkward. He's got an easier route. Yes, he's still going to go over 2 swamp towers, but I think he's got an easier route than me. So sometimes the map generation is favours the other guy. That's not a big problem. It's not a problem with the game. In fact, I would argue it's a good thing. Because if you have one code that's ever so slightly better than another, then that code will be able to tackle a map generation that's slightly worse, and get a draw out of it instead of so the rating will be able to show the difference. If everything was perfectly balanced, then the ever so slightly better code would win every single round, rather than losing the rounds where they get worse map generation. So I think, yeah, random maps are definitely good. Mirrored maps, you'd end up probably with some slightly weird things in the rating system um, where things are just a bit too knife edged. So what's happened is I've spawned a guy 2 carry moves, 2 carries, 2 moves to put score in the collector. He's scored 1 carry, 1 move. So we're both trying to get score into the collector early because this gives us our initial advantage of um, uh, of being able to ignore these white things, these freeze fields. I've also got a combat creep out who is just going to go and shoot him, so that's useful. He's also got a combat creep out, and so we're starting to ramp up. I wonder why I selected this one. But he's running away from me. Now he's got 2v1, I need to run away. Got into contact, but I can't. This is the thing. I do 30 damage and heal 12. He does 20 damage and heals 12. I do have a tough part on here, by the way. I'm not quite sure why I did that. Not quite sure why I did that instead of remove part, but I've got a tough part. So when I knock down his move parts, it slows him down. But I'm not actually that much better. I've got more hit points as well. But if I let the second guy get in range, then I'll lose. So I can't really actually fight this. I've got to keep on running. But if they do make a mistake or whatever and he gets in range, I can knock down his move parts and run away again. So that's all right. Now we've got 2-on-2. Now one of the big disadvantages, so there's a big thing difference between putting your move parts first and your move parts last. If you put your move parts first, then they get damaged first, which means you've still got your active parts available, and that's really useful. It means you're in a one-on-one fight, you'll do better. But if you put your move parts first, you also can't move when someone shoots you. So once you start losing, you're gone. So he's now immobilized. He can't move until he heals back up his move part, which means and he is slow. So I can now move back, snipe this guy, and take my time over it a little bit because he can't run away. It looks like I'm taking my time a little bit too much. We're going in again. But you can, I suppose my point is that you can exploit the fact that the enemy can't move. And, if for some reason this does go a bit wrong, I can run away more easily. Oh dear. I say that, I've got move first as well. So really I want to be in range of one of them, not both of them, because, oh dear. Well, we'll see how this goes. It's going to be close. I think I'm going to lose. This guy? Yes. So clearly I screwed that up. Somewhere in my code, something said engage in a fight, and then it didn't engage in it properly. I suspect it's because this guy was a bit of a coward and sat back. Maybe not. Hard to say for sure. But yes, it looks like he's going to die now. So I've lost some initial fights, which it's not good. But both of us have expanded to the source. So the general strategy with sources seems to be most people go for is you build extensions there. These extensions can then be used to spawn other creeps or extend the capacity of your spawn. So with 2 extensions, these have each got a capacity of 100, And then we can go 100 plus the capacity of this is 1,200. So we can spawn bigger creeps, and we can use the energy from over here to spawn creeps over here. So it's a good way of sort of transmitting energy across. And I build a rampart on my head so that he can't really hurt me. He's doing a similar thing. We have a slightly different strategy. He's got a ranged part on his guy. I've got an extra work part. So I harvest and build quicker. I'm a bit more efficient in that, but he can defend himself. So if I had a ranged part, for example, this little annoying git wouldn't be annoying me. But I don't have a ranged part. So I've got a friend coming in instead, who's just going to go and clear him. There we go. Sorted. So yeah, one thing I've got going for me in this is that he gets stuck in these white fields and I do not, which means that while he may have the combat advantage after the early game, I lost some guys which I shouldn't have lost. Or maybe I should have lost. I did worse in the fighting early game. There we go, let's put it like that. But now, because I have the white fields, I have a lot more, so that I can ignore them and he has to go through them. I have a lot more power to run away and basically take fights like this, which I'm going to win. How did this fight work out? How did we come about that? Did he get stuck on something? No, it looks like his code just got a bit punchy. Yeah, I was able to intercept this guy, and then this guy joined in. So he's going to lose both of these guys. And that didn't seem to be a white field thing, but still, I've been able to run away here because he can't chase me through the white fields. He gets frozen every time he moves into one, whereas I can just slam straight through them. So having the advantage of getting more scoring is certainly significant, even if you're losing the fight. Because I think he still has more combat guys than I do. So your objective is to score as much as possible. But obviously, if you wipe out all the other guys' combat creeps, then all their holders are going to be in a bit of trouble. I'm still not convinced this is going well. Yes, so we're still we're doing all right. We're not clearly winning. We've got more score in the score collector, but if get all my guys wiped out, then he can overturn that. Yeah. Oh, it looks like we've got another little fight which we won over here. Yeah, so winning a collection of little fights does add up. And yeah, having the score collector under my control really does help there. You see both of us have done a similar thing here. We've got a field of extensions to harvest from. We've got a field of extensions to put energy into, not harvest from, put energy into, and that means that both of us are able to use more energy to spawn with. Yeah, it looks like this is slowly going my way. Up 10. So I've got 1800. He's got to stop me from scoring, and it looks like he's losing guys. But one of the big complexities in this is, do I take the fight or do I run away? If you run away from fights you should be taking, then you lose opportunities to kill people. If you take fights you shouldn't, then you die and lose creeps. So that's one of the big challenges in this sort of arena is do I want to attack him or do I want to run away from him? Anyway, that was a nice victory. I'm nearly done for the day. I think before I go, I'm just going to talk about the advanced arenas. I haven't really touched on them yet. So I'm just going to go through all three, just sort of pointing out how they're different from the basic arena. So I kind of talked about this a little bit. I don't have any replays, so I'm just going to throw in. Is this going to work? Yes. Against an idle opponent. So this is my good code. So you'll have lots of console spam. Let's filter that. Yes. Right, it doesn't say anything interesting usually. So yes, we have 4 towers now, and they're surrounded by walls. And the terrain generation is a lot nastier. There tends to be a lot more walls in the advanced arena. So your job is to take all 4 flags instead of just 2. So it's a lot more complicated strategy-wise. For example, I've sent all my guys down there. Maybe I should have split. I don't know. Maybe I should have done something else. Maybe I should have reacted to what he does. It's hard to say for sure. And now I'm sending all my guys up here. So I have to write extra code. I have to do more advanced things. I have to write code to knock walls down. I have to have a much more complicated strategy to handle the fact that he can be All these places are viable, and it takes me some time to knock down the walls. On the other hand, I've also got 5,000 ticks to do it in instead of 2,000 ticks. Advanced spawn and swamp. Or once again playing idle opponents. Here, each side starts with a creep. That's it. But there are sources, so your job is to go to the source. You've got no way of damaging the other guy, so really there's only one opening move, and that's to build yourself a spawn. But you've got to pick where you want your spawn. You've got to pick which source you want to put it at. There are some decisions to be made. So the first 1,000 ticks is pretty dull. Everyone builds their spawn in the first 1,000 ticks. I'm playing against an idle opponent, so he's obviously not. And now we're in something that looks a bit more like regular spawn and swamp, but we've all got sources instead of containers. So we still have to deal with the fact that there's swamp combat, but it's a lot more. So here we go. I've gone and gone and expanding to another swamp, like collecting control. Expanding to new energy sources gives you more energy to build creeps with, and more. That means more creeps and bigger creeps. I could build towers. I could build spawns. I could build all sorts there. I build extensions at the moment, but. So that's what I'm doing. I'm detecting that the enemy is posing no threat, and while I could go and wipe him out, my code doesn't know he's an idle guy. Probably it could be a bit smarter, but there's no point. You don't need to be smart against idle opponents. So this is just what it does against, by default, against someone who is not putting up much of a fight, is that it will expand as much as possible. And then once it's expanded, it'll go, okay, what do I do now? I'll kill him. So you can see that here's my most sort of advanced, my earliest extension. He's building out some extra extensions to make sure he's nice and safe, and he's ramparting them up to make sure they're safe. So he's got excess energy, so that's what he's doing. These guys should have excess energy and should be building ramparts as well, but they're not. I don't know why they're not doing that. I'm going to look at that. So he's building out a little extension fort to maximize my spawning. These guys doing the same. They'll all do the same. Now, at some point, my code, hopefully, will spawn somebody to go and kill him. I'm not quite sure why it's taking him so long. There we go. We're spawning some massive creep to go and kill him. Yes. Maybe there was a bug there that caused that to take so long to do that I have to fix, but I will bear that in mind for the future. And you've still got the interesting things of swampy combat. So I've spawned a 1-to-1 ratio. You can move something that moves fast on swamp. One thing I particularly like about this arena is that all the sources are surrounded by plains, which means that if you're just spawning a creep to defend with, you can afford to do a 1-to-1 ratio move to active part, because you know that your area of interest, the place you're defending, is not on a swamp. Whereas if you're spawning a creep to attack with or to skirmish with, often you want to move fast on the swamps. So it gives a natural defender's advantage. Once you've claimed some ground, it's sort of, you've got a bit of an advantage to holding it. On the other hand, you can't build nothing but work creeps. You've got to actually defend stuff, and unless you have a spawn, you've still got to get the creep to the site that you're defending. Yeah, so that's advanced spawn and swamp. And finally, let's do advanced collect and control. And once again, we're doing an idle opponent. I don't want to do a racing game. And so the differences here, two main differences. One, you've got these fields with the damaging effects instead of freeze effects. So if you step on that, you take 600 damage, which is quite a lot, but you don't get frozen. So maybe there are some cases where you want to walk through this. Maybe you're about to get mobbed and you're just like, well, I've got to run. I'll go through the damaging effect. We've also got 3 collectors, each of which take a different type of score. So we've got score X, score Y, and score Z. So this container score, oh dear, looks like there's a bug and it's not showing me exactly what type of score it has got in it. But some of them have got score X, some of them have got score Y, and some of them have got score Z. And each one has to go X, Y, Z, I think. Yes. So you've got to get 3,000 of each instead of one container. So the basic premise is that After you've got to a certain point with the basic arenas, the advanced arenas will unlock. In the alpha, they're pre-unlocked. They'll unlock, and then you'll be able to give them a go and play with the advanced arenas. Some of them are quite different from the basic arena. Some of them are quite similar. So, for example, collect and control. Right now, I use the same code base for collect and control advanced and collect and control basic. It's not that different. Maybe I would change things. So, for example, I just don't step on the freeze or damage fields. I don't allow my creeps to step on them. And scoring with X, Y, and Z instead of just scoring with one type of score doesn't really make much of a difference. So that's, it is more advanced. There probably will become more advanced strategies for it. But right now it's sort of, it's kind of samey. But Spawn and Swamp, it's completely different between advanced and basic. It's still got the swampy aspect to it, the swamp fighting, which I really like, but it's got quite a different gameplay loop. You're doing a lot more collection and expansion than the other one, but you're still, worrying about those swamps. And then capture the flag. Yes, again, it's quite a lot more complex. You're not just facing off against the other guy who's opposite. You've got to deal with capturing all 4 flags. Incidentally, this one's got a good win condition, where if you capture 3 of the flags, you win, but you don't win as well. So the ELO system knows that you've not really won that well, and will give you a lower rating boost. And if you're playing someone who's significantly worse than you and only managed to get 3 of the flags, you can actually lose rating for a win, which I think is quite interesting. Yeah, and again, it's quite different. Yeah, so those are, and I guess that is Screeps Arena. I guess I'm 2.5 hours in. My voice is starting to go, so I'm probably going to stop streaming fairly soon. If you have any further questions, the devs are still available on chat. I don't know how long they're planning on hanging around for. The Steam forum, community forum, is a great place to come and chat about the game. There is a Slack server as well, which was created for the original Screeps World, where there is an arena channel where a lot of people are active. I don't know what the plans for the future are with regard to communication platforms, whether Discord will be made for Arena or something else. You'd have to ask the devs. They might comment upon hearing this, or they might have already said. And yes, the Steam forums are quite active, and the devs are active there, as are quite a few of the players. Demo is available until the end of Screeps Next Fest, and if I understand correctly, the plan is for the demo to remain available, but only for viewing of replays and looking at things rather than being able to play. I believe it is still possible, although again I might be corrected by the devs in chat, to pre-order the game in such a way that gets you access to the alpha. But I don't know exactly how that process works. And obviously yes, the demo is available until the end of Next Fest. So I hope you've enjoyed the stream, and I have some things to fix tonight, because I learned about a new mechanic earlier where a creep can pull another creep, and I have some ideas where I can use that in my code. So that's my job for this evening. But for now, I will say good night, and I hope you enjoyed the stream.